at a time where we see a lot of industry struggling to find qualified employees, are you having any challenges related to IT as far as finding people overall to meet your job needs?
Why don't you take that and I'll follow up. Go ahead. You start.
I may need some help, Reed.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. So I would say that the Commonwealth is really no different than any other business involved in IT. And there are times where we do struggle to find candidates, but that's not uncommon. Where we have worked together with HR as part of shared services, I think we've seen some stability in our staffing levels. And again, through what the Deputy Secretary Walsh mentioned, through the change from sort of typical generic exams to more experience and training-oriented hiring process, I think we're seeing some improvement in the turnaround time for getting candidates into new jobs. Deputy Secretary Walsh, would you like to add to that?
So yes, traditionally IT has been one of those jobs because they are civil service covered. They have had written examinations. They tested for general categories. So when we asked people to apply, we were asking them to apply for an IT generalist without a lot of specificity to exactly what the work was being required. So what we've done is, again, those are some of the ones we're working on converting and asking questions. And we use the term vacancy-based posting, which sounds almost a little bit, I don't want to say silly, but it sounds a little bit silly because it's really the way you should hire. You have a vacancy, you advertise that vacancy when it's open, where it is, and you ask the questions that comport to the qualifications needed to do the job. So instead of that general list building and then people get those surveys, I'm sure you heard that, we're moving more to that type of hiring. And we're starting to see the fruits of the labor. We do about 8,000 hires a year in the Commonwealth. It's quite a bit of hiring. We definitely have some spots where the candidate pools are rich and others where they're not. And we have more of a competition with the private sector, and I'd be happy to discuss that as needed.
Thanks. What's your total complement for in-house IT employees?
It's right under 1,500, about 1,486.
Okay, thank you. And then my next
Take one or
question.
two.
My next question builds on Representative Grove's initial questioning, and it really gets to I guess the view of our constituents that there is a lack of transparency in government, and that's something I think we all have to address to make sure people understand, how we're using their taxpayer dollars and that we're using them in the most efficient manner possible. So the question then, in the governor's budget, it shows a $7.5 million restricted executive authorization for agency IT projects. And I think it behooves us to explain what those projects are and the best way to show that transparency of government. Can you explain those projects, please?
Let me ask you a question before I answer. Did you say restricted fund?
Yeah, it's restricted executive authorization for agency IT projects.
As part of our service offerings, we provide what we call data center services, and they are primarily funded through restricted accounts. And what we do with that money is recover it from agencies that demand those services. So I can give you an example. Let's say that a particular agency or independent agency has the need for IT capacity, hardware, software services to support a business application.
Okay.
And they wanted to operate that application in one of the Commonwealth's core data centers. We have an account to build out the technical environment and then recover that cost from the line of business. That's how we use the money.
So these would be agencies that don't have the capacity to do that on their own, and these are unanticipated?
Generally, they're fairly stable in terms of demand, but I'm trying to think of a particular example. We provide three major types of services, what we call a managed service, a managed service light, and a co-location service. So again, if a line of business wanted us to manage the entire technical infrastructure, that would be managed service. If they wanted to manage part of the application, that would be light. Or if they just wanted floor space, power, and cooling, that would be a co-location service. Again, those demands tend to be stable over time, and we use a restricted account to build out that technical environment in our data center, hardware, like storage devices, servers, software, people to help manage it, and then through a chargeback mechanism that we call a service request, we transfer the recovery of that money to the line of business.
Okay, we're out of time. Can you give me one example of an agency specific agency?
Department of Revenue.
Okay, all right, thank you.